Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another podcast of How Do I Walk with Jesus. I am your host, Romeo Biano, and I'm coming to you live from DFW in downtown Dallas. It is now 12:16 Central Standard Time, 3:16 Eastern Standard Time, and 12:16 Pacific Standard Time. What's up on the West Coast? Okay, when I originally designed this when I was asked to do this podcast by my pastor, this was supposed to be a podcast designed to reach those who struggle with addictions. And that's what we're going to talk about today. This podcast is going to reach for those who are struggling with addiction, because that's what this scripture is talking about. Those that struggle with addictions to a substance. Now, you might not be one that struggles with addiction to a substance, but struggles with addiction to something else, like pornography or masturbation or some other sexual immorality. Same thing applies. In the scripture, the rich man talks about, I have laid great treasures upon myself. I will tear my barns down and build up greater barns and lay all my treasures in my barns and tell my soul, take ease, drink, be happy, be merry. But God sat there and said, you fool, this very night your soul will be required of you. What does it gain a man to gain the whole world but lose his own soul? I know that's a cliche, and that's a cliche that is resounded in the church several times. You may have heard it from a pastor, you may have heard it from your mom, you may have heard it from your aunt, your uncle, your tío, your tía, your abuelito, abuelita. But it's a very true saying. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world but lose his own soul? See, this body that we have, when God says it's time to end, will return to the dust from which it came. But the soul will go one of two places. Eternity with the Father in heaven, or eternity with the devil. One of two places. It is said in the scripture, after death, judgment comes. So when we die, our judgment will come. What is going to be said about us on Judgment Day? I know of a song by Five Finger Death Punch that talks about that very thing, because it's called Judgment Day. I'm not going to play on this podcast because it's a very explicit song. But what does it, what is going to be said about me on my judgment day? I'm going to use myself as an example. I spent 20 years shooting methamphetamines. Smoking marijuana, chasing women, Yes.
But remember, now I remember when you say that. Didn't you tell me and Pastor Edwin that the methamphetamine thing was a lie? Yeah, but you gotta tell the truth, though. I know you want to bless the people, but you gotta tell the truth. You gotta be truthful. Just say what you did do. Just say what you did do as a testimony.
Smoking marijuana, okay. 13 years old. I'm at school. 13 years old, I'm at school, behind the school building, and I'm asked to try something, and I do things just to fit in with everybody else. I'm asked to do something just to fit in with everybody else. That's all I ever wanted to do in my life, in my entire life, is just to fit in with everybody else. Whether it's do drugs, drink, party, chase women, whatever. All I wanted to do was fit in with the world. But see, as I got older, I understood that lifestyle, that fast living lifestyle, leads you one place and one place only. Well, one of two places. Either 6 feet under or the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. Or the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. For me, it led me to the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, and that's where I found my salvation. And that's where I found my salvation. That's where I found Jesus. I also found the program of Narcotics Anonymous, and I started working the program of Narcotics Anonymous.